The year, 2013. The place, Earth. The next gen consoles are released and they require an always-on internet connection. The catch, there's no internet. This is the SWS Tech Hour. Welcome to the Tech Hour, the weekly discussion on all things tech. I'm your oh so handsome host, Amir. With me is Nathan and Andrew. So what do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, I know the first thing that we kind of wanted to hit here was the cyber attacks.
Yes. Did you read any more about that?
I didn't. I just know kind of what we were looking at yesterday, that the mob is involved. The Russian mob is involved.
Right, yeah.
We've got 300 gigabits per second of DDoS, which is 3 times the latest or the previous biggest cyber attack ever. So it's and like Amazon and Google are trying to take the load.
Yeah.
All out cyber war. That's how I want to characterize this.
Oh yeah.
It's the great war of the internet.
So yeah, that's how everyone was billing it. The BBC was all over it. The New York Times was all over it. However, I get home last night, preparing everything, just getting set up, and an article pops up on Dig. Yes, I still go to Dig. Okay. An article pops up on Dig on the front page, #1 article. It's like, it was a lie! And I was just like, what?
Of course it was.
Okay. Turns out,
Well,
no one really knows if the 300 gigabit per second figure was accurate. That's what Cloudflare.
yeah,
Who's
that'd
the
be a
company?
hard thing to get a handle on anyways. So
Yeah, that's a number that they talked about, but they're also the ones who said that it slowed the world's internet. And Cloudflare is a firm that helps keep sites up and keep servers running, and they help prevent against DDoS.
So they were they had a hand in this.
That's in the story.
A dog in the fight, so to speak.
Yeah, and
Right.
and it turns out that yes, while it probably was 300 gigabit per second, that would not slow the internet, because regularly Spamhaus, which is the company that's being attacked, regularly handles like in the terabytes, well into the terabits of bandwidth. So
So it wasn't actually slowing the internet.
it wasn't
but
actually
it is
slowing.
the biggest cyber attack.
It is the biggest cyber attack, which the thing is, like, why lie? Because, like, to say we kept them running during the biggest cyber attack ever recorded is like, it's still impressive. 300 gigabits per second is nothing to laugh at.
But to say that it was slowing down the whole internet.
The global internet was slow.
So were Amazon and Google involved, or was that another?
That I'm not sure.
Okay, so no one really knows what's going on.
No one really knows. It's just that Cloudflare is the one that started the rumor. Yeah.
If you ask, gosh, I can't remember his name. I don't have his name in front of me, but it was Ivan Mushkakov, or I don't know. It was
Ivan Mushkakov. Yeah, that sounds right.
Sure, let's go with that.
No, this guy, he was in contact with the attackers, allegedly, who started the attack, and he says that it was a bunch of Russian internet service providers, and they were attacking Spamhaus because they were allegedly, this is of course by his account, that Spamhaus was citing or
Hosting.
not hosting, but they were. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the word right now. They were censoring. I'm sorry, guys. They were censoring certain sites just on content that they didn't like personally.
Spamhaus was.
Yes, that's the alleged, according to Ivan,
that's
and
where
the Russian service providers decided to attack them back because of it.
Yeah, that's where it all comes down, because it all started when they started censoring sites hosted on this company called Cyberbunker or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too.
Who their whole philosophy is you can upload anything and we'll host it as long as it's not terrorism or child pornography. And well, there's plenty of other terrible things other than terrorism.
There's a lot of
child
people
pornography
that might have problems with a lot of things outside of those 2 categories. So sooner or later, someone was going to get mad.
At least it wasn't terrorist child pornography.
This is, well, we know at least
don't
it
know
wasn't
that
that.
for sure.
No, we know it wasn't that. That's the one thing it couldn't be, because that was the one thing they wouldn't host. But anything else.
Yeah. And I don't know, I mean, is that enough to warrant like a huge attack like that? I don't feel like that's big enough. I feel like there are plenty of other things to riot about.
It's the internet.
Right.
There's no laws. It's the Wild West. You can do whatever you want.
But
they were just looking for an excuse.
Yeah, but I mean, it's I mean, I would understand if they sent a takedown notice and there was like a grammatical mistake.
That would warrant such a response.
That's the only
but
time you see that kind of fervor.
I just feel like, I mean, this isn't the first time, it's not the last time. This sort of thing, I mean, as botnets get bigger, there's more and more just computers out there that can do this. I'm sure phones, sooner or later, phones are going to be part of this, if they aren't already. You know?
I mean, there's some already like malware spreading into like Android and stuff.
Yeah,
but
and so as soon as you have a phone botnet, I mean, that's an order of magnitude bigger. I mean, people, there's so many more people that have phones, and they're always connected to a network. So, I mean, yeah, it's only going to get worse. People are going to just constantly fighting on the internet for no reason, and it's going to have serious, like, it'll actually interrupt service. It won't just be posts on forums. It will be DDoS attacks.
And what was it? In the article I was reading, they kept likening, especially someone at Cloudflare, who, first I want to say, Cloudflare, as much as like they shouldn't have done that and like talked it up, they provide a great service. We use Cloudflare here.
Yeah, to prevent.
They're our CDN. They keep us running well, and they keep the site loading fast. So I mean, they make a good product. They don't need to lie.
Right.
But
why not? Why not just talk it up a little bit? Right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, but it's like the biggest attack in history. Well, I mean, it's not like, I mean, the internet's only 40 years old.
Still.
Okay.
All right. So shall we move on? I think
we've exhausted this.
Exhausted, at least until we learn more. It seems like a lot of that is still sort of
and it's been going on for like a week.
Well,
so probably dying down.
I mean, I was looking at an official report said it started the 18th. So what is today, the 29th? So about a week and a half, 10 days.
28th?
29th? It's the 29th, yeah? Right?
It's 28. I have a calendar.
28th.
Right?
Oh, it's the 28th.
I have an analog watch.
Oh, aren't you fancy?
Okay.
Which means if the month is not 31 days, I have to adjust it. Because it only does. It's not smart. It's
right.
But it works.
Mr.
It tells
cool
me that
guy.
it's the 28th.
Okay.
Anyway, so
I'm sorry.
let's talk about T-Mobile.
Let's talk about
actually
T-Mobile.
I hate phones,
Yes, you do.
but I actually really like this.
By the way, you two have the two worst
let's just
phones in the entire company.
That is not
The
true.
two worst phones at SWS. Here we go.
Yeah.
This is a Kyocera piece of crap.
And you are on Cricket.
Yeah.
I'm on Cricket.
I've
You
got
also on Cricket?
No, I'm on Verizon. I actually have good
Verizon.
service.
Well, I mean, I can talk and text, which
Okay.
was enough for me until recently.
But can you throw your phone at a wall?
Yes, I can. I've actually picked up a
And-
girl that way. Just so you all know, Samsung Rugby 2, threw it against the wall, picked up a chick.
And he has opened
He knocked her out.
many beers. You've opened several of my beers.
Yes.
with this-
I
with
don't
this phone,
know.
So.
If you guys
Yeah,
can see,
and-
but there's all kinds of gouges and stuff down on the bottom.
Yet still working just fine.
And,
Oh, yeah.
and I have an
And,
iPhone 5.
and this guy with his iPhone 5. But here's
But
the
you
thing.
can put that on T-Mobile now.
So T-Mobile,
not this one.
not that one, but another one.
Another one.
Yes.
Who's your provider?
AT&T.
You can, but it might not get the full speed.
Well, you
I won't get
Perfecto.
LTE. I'll
Yes.
get because it's
That's
not
what they were
AWS rated. It's yes.
yeah, you could get the nice 2G.
But it would, it would work.
HSPA plus.
It would work. But the cool thing is, so T-Mobile is doing all of their plans. They're simplifying all their plans. It's
Right.
all contract free, and so they're calling this the uncarrier.
The uncarrier.
Why are they calling it that?
Because if you were talking about carriers, they're number 4. But if we're talking about uncarriers, they're number 1.
Okay, so but why the uncarrier name? How does that relate to no contracts? I guess I don't understand.
I mean,
the
because
connection there.
I get
They
his
say-
whole point is that he kept, and their CEO was very, very loud and obnoxious.
Can we
about it.
get a clip of that?
Yeah,
in
we'll
the-
put
in-
it-
oh,
we'll
have a
put it
clip.
in.
Okay.
We'll put it in.
I'd like to
Okay.
have that in there.
Okay, but
Cover your children's ears if we play.
yeah, he was very, very upset and irate. But basically, it's not just that there's no contracts; it's that there's finally a pricing scheme that is reasonable and makes sense and
Right.
doesn't change.
Right.
And that's both for service and phones. Because he's like, subsidies are dumb. He's like, that locks you into a contract. He's like, no, you want a phone? Well, here's one, we're gonna sell the best phones at really like ridiculous prices up front. He's like, you want an iPhone 5, you want an HTC One, you want a Galaxy S4, it was like $99. Walk into the store, walk out with a phone. You can walk out with a $50 phone plan that'll give you talk, text, data.
Unlimited, right?
Not unlimited,
Not unlimited.
$70 for
70 is the
unlimited.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
right. That was okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
but 50 will get you started, and then it's just an extra 20 until you pay off the phone.
Right. So it's like a payment plan. So rather than subsidizing the phone into the plan, they're saying we'll put you on a payment plan with your bill.
Yeah.
But they're keeping it very clear, which I think is great because I guess people don't necessarily realize just because if you go and buy a laptop,
Yeah.
you buy a laptop. Nobody's going to subsidize your laptop.
No. Well, they try that.
Yeah. So, and I mean, essentially, modern phones are little laptops. At least, they're as powerful as a laptop from 4 or 5 years ago was.
Oh, yeah,
So,
definitely.
At least, I mean, and so it just makes sense. Like, if I'm gonna buy a phone, I want to buy a phone. I hate contracts. That's why I'm with Cricket. And I've been looking at Nexus 4s, and I've been looking at T-Mobile actually before they made this move because they had plans that were just ridiculously cheap.
Oh, yeah. And
To get unlimited data on your whatever phone
yeah,
you have.
and right now, it's like I pay $95 a month for my phone. Okay, and that's just service. I own the phone outright. I'm on the 2-year contract, and I've broken it and exceeded it several times. So I've owned the phone.
Right.
But I pay $95. If I went to T-Mobile, it's $70 for unlimited. I have unlimited because I'm grandfathered in. If I went to AT&T now, there's no unlimited.
Right. Yeah.
But $70, and then I buy the phone $99, and then I pay an extra $20. I come out still cheaper. For
Right.
$5.
$5 cheaper.
Yeah.
The only thing with that is, though, if you break your phone, you still have to pay that $90. And yes, or no, I'm sorry, not the 90. I apologize. The $20 per year
Wow.
from the phone until it's paid off. Yes, you can buy and upgrade another phone, but you're looking at the full price of that again. And I looked it up through T-Mobile, the brand new iPhone 5, which is coming out April 14th.
Yeah,
I
it's
think is
coming
what
out
they said.
pretty,
Yeah.
pretty relatively
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Very quick. Yeah.
It was $649.99 just for the phone. If you bought it outright, you're done. Didn't have to do $20 a month. If you did $99 up front and then the $20 a month for the 2 years is how long they'll extend it. That's $579. So you are saving a little bit, which is nice. But if you break your iPhone in that time within the 2 years and you need to get another one, it's either that $600 up front or another $99 plan plus the $20. But you're still paying off the original one. So you can very quickly, if you're hard on phones like I am, hence the Rugby 2, you can go from $90 a month for an iPhone 5 to even more.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
I
but
guess,
see,
I guess
this is a
that's
big
why they try
problem.
and sell you the insurance.
This is a
though.
big problem.
But
for
how much
people
is the
who throw
insurance?
their phones against the wall. Not all of us do that, so we don't necessarily worry. I mean, I just like that it's making the cost of the phone more upfront,
Manageable.
which is also going to be good because right now, I mean, phones don't compete on pricing. They compete
Oh, no.
on
No, not at
they
all.
compete on
eBay does.
I guess, but again,
And Craigslist.
most people who are shopping for a phone, they're competing on features.
Yes.
And so what that's done is, I mean,
Well,
phones.
more marketing now. I mean, we're reaching feature parity and
yeah,
feature
it's-
creep actually.
It's pretty ridiculous. Like, especially with cameras, it's pretty ridiculous. But so the thing is, nobody's talking about price, and that's why phones are $650. These devices really probably shouldn't be $650. They shouldn't even be $300.
No, I mean, I think they opened up like an iPhone and it was like $182 worth of material.
Yeah, they're making so much money on these devices because they're subsidized through the carriers. This way, if T-Mobile actually gets some market penetration with this, I think what we'll see is a lot cheaper phones.
And
We'll
I
see
hope
a lot
they do.
more. Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I'm excited about
because,
it.
I mean,
I plan to go with T-Mobile on this new
Cricket
phone, so.
tried to bill itself early on as the comfortable wireless. That was actually
Right,
their branding. But the thing is, you always had to buy the phone
Yeah,
outright.
which
In store.
I will point out, $10 phone,
Right.
$10.
Right. But that was back, like they started back when phones were all $10. And now it's like you don't know this most likely, but Cricket sells the iPhone 5. They will sell you an iPhone
Yes,
5.
yes,
It is
they will.
$650
Yep.
up front. Cricket is not T-Mobile. Cricket is not Verizon. They don't sell high-end phones. They sell to generally lower income bracket
Yep.
households. And it's like they don't have $650 to just drop that day
Right.
on a luxury device. That's what they are, a luxury
the
device.
other thing is that Cricket's network is not great. So if you were
First in
going to-
town with LTE.
If you were going to go with a smartphone, you would not go with Cricket. Just
No.
because, I mean, having had
Absolutely
Cricket
not.
for years, it's the only cell phone provider I've actually ever had. I would never try and get data on Cricket because it's like I can barely count on text going through. I'm sure I can't count on more than a few bytes of data.
It depends.
to make it.
I have friends with.
I know. There's people that have it and it works, whatever. But I'm not.
But there's definitely issues. There's definitely
Right, yeah.
more than like when I'm dealing with
And I've
other
heard there's
AT&T or
issues-
Verizon. So
I've heard there's issues with T-Mobile as well. They don't have the best network.
they don't have the best network, but they just launched in like 7 cities with LTE, which will go a long way
Yeah.
to help that. And they'll be rolling out by sometime in 2014 to like 200 to I want to say like 2 million, 20 million people just all around because they're hitting like key areas and not whole cities,
Not
just
only- yeah,
key
just
markets.
key points. Yeah.
Yeah,
Rather
I,
than cover a whole city, get like the downtown or something.
Right, like here, like when they launched LTE here, like Tucson's kind of small, but there's very clear boundaries of when you're in LTE and when you're not, and it's
Right.
just central Tucson.
Yeah.
Everyone says that Tucson's small. I don't think it's that small. We're like fifth or
It's
something in the nation, and we're
pretty
plus
small.
1 million people already, so we're not
Well, yeah,
that
I mean, it's small
but
geographically. Like we're not as sprawly as say Phoenix.
Yeah,
So
but we're getting
yeah,
there.
sorry.
yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, there's a certain dynamic that's in city planning that's enforced by a desert.
Well,
You don't really have like farms out in the boonies anywhere. I mean,
No.
you have ranches, but like,
There's a couple ranches. I mean, if you go on,
it's not like if you go to the East Coast. I mean, there's
Oh,
just
no.
basically habitation constantly. Like I mean, there's people
Oh,
living
yeah, it's-
everywhere. So
I mean, it's ridiculous.
a little bit easier to set up a mobile network.
I like the way London did it. They just have that giant tower with dishes just hanging off of it. It's ridiculous. It's so tall.
Yeah,
I
it's a good way to do
You
it.
must have missed this one.
In London, it's an old tower. It's like not new.
Yeah.
It's just giant, and
It's
all it
tall.
has is dishes all around it, and it just supplies the network for
Oh.
London.
For various carriers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they
it's-
all were like, we have no space. We need to all get in on this.
That's how it is in major metro areas.
Yeah.
They just the infrastructure is so developed in places like the UK and South Korea, and
Oh, yeah.
Japan.
You fit things where you can,
Yeah.
and you work together to
Right.
make it happen.
Right. Yeah. You can't really compete on tower space.
Yeah.
There's only one tower.
No, but with the 7 cities you said,
Yeah.
I was reading that when it is launched that supposedly there's 49 cities, and I tried to take a look to see which 49, but it was mum on the word. So theoretically, there's going to be a total of 49 cities that will support the LTE.
They haven't really detailed the cities yet.
No,
They're
probably
kinda
not. But
holding
I imagine
close to the chest.
it'll roll out fairly quickly. I mean, Verizon rolled theirs out like blindingly fast,
Yeah.
and then AT&T followed pretty close after. So I imagine T-Mobile will be able to make the right kind of deals with the right people. That
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and these companies are just making money hand over fist.
oh yeah, and I
They
mean,
make so much money.
although I mean, it was not long ago we were looking at AT&T and T-Mobile merger because T-Mobile
Yeah.
was failing as a company. How they're still losing to Sprint is unbelievable because Sprint is literally a failed company.
Oh,
Right. Yeah. I don't.
yeah. It's there's obviously no love lost between the the T-Mobile, the CEO, the guy that in that
Yeah.
clip. Oh man, he was bashing on AT&T. He is not
Oh, yeah.
happy with them.
No, he's not, and I think it's good. I think it's good for the entire industry. That
Competition is good. I
Yeah,
mean, until recently, you really just there were like 2 carriers.
oh yeah, it was
And
a
until couple
duopoly
years ago,
entirely.
yeah. And so now that there's a 3rd and 4th carriers, that's great. The more we have, the better. I wish
Yeah.
the same thing would happen
And
with
especially that
landline internet. That was the one thing I was actually thinking most about. Is like T-Mobile's like, let's take an initiative, let's make our pricing simpler. I'm like, please, God, somebody with like landline internet do the same thing. Let's get Google Fiber in here with their 3 payment plans.
That would
I'm
be
sick of
awesome.
bundles, and I'm sick of like prices always changing, and that's exactly what T-Mobile is
Yeah.
saying in the mobile space.
Yeah.
So I just hope that sort of thing comes to
I think
other telecom
I
industries as well.
don't think that Google Fiber will be it.
I-
We touched on this
I know,
briefly,
I know.
but the thing is, I think it takes someone who's already established in the industry to come in and say we have
Fios.
to destroy it all. Fios, no. Okay, we need to complete
Then who-
because Fios is
but-
Verizon.
because the thing
Verizon is very happy with
the
doing
thing
things
is,
with
because the
God.
thing is who? I mean, that's the because what
I don't
essentially
know.
you have as far as in the at least in internet providers in America, you just have cable, and cable
It's
is
much harder. The thing is, it'll come down to where the content goes. And I know HBO is looking heavily into providing their stuff without cable. They want to sell directly to the
Right.
customer. So the more that companies start doing that, the less you have to buy cable, and so they will be forced to.
Right, but the
change.
problem still stands that the infrastructure is all cable. And when you're talking like wireless carrier, anybody can put up a tower and serve service, but with cable lines, there's actually monopolies mandated by the local and city governments that say, our cable infrastructure is provided by such and such a company.
Right.
And that's the problem. So the reason why things like fiber can get penetration is because it's a different infrastructure,
yeah.
so the monopoly doesn't apply. So that's why Google Fiber.
But the thing is, like,
actually-
if the content leaves or the content becomes easily available elsewhere for customers,
for cable, you mean?
for cable, because
Yeah.
cable
Well,
internet will
cable's-
follow
cable's-
cable TV.
Cable's irrelevant anyway. I mean, people aren't really up in arms about their cable service. I mean, I know there's problems with the pricing, but generally
right, but
speaking,
the thing is that the internet is so heavily tied to the cable
the cable,
provider,
but
and
that's what I'm-
their bread and butter is not selling you your internet connection.
I know their
It's-
bread and butter is the channel. I'm saying that's the problem. You need somebody outside the cable TV industry, like Google Fiber or like Verizon Fios, to come in and build separate infrastructure, because there's nobody can, like some startup can't just come in, or some existing company can't just come in and say, we're going to build our parallel cable network. Nobody lets them.
Right.
And since Comcast and Cox and whoever else actually owns the physical lines, they're not going to let anybody else serve an ISP over those lines, because they like having it locked out. So you need to have an alternate network, and that's going to be fiber. So it's either going to be Fios or Google Fiber or somebody else who's actually laying an infrastructure.
Well, I hope that someone, whoever it is, whether it's someone outside like you think or someone inside that I think, someone will disrupt the status quo.
Yes.
Kind of like how
That's-
Ouya wants to do with the whole gaming industry. Which
Yeah.
I don't know, they're not really a next gen console, but they're like an Android phone. So
Which I
connected
think
TV.
brings us to our
our
third
next
point.
It does.
Yeah.
That was a segue
That
without
was a segue.
acknowledging the
That was-
segue.
I know.
That was beautifully
But
done.
I like to acknowledge, on this show, we're going to acknowledge every segue.
Okay.
Because we got to be proud of it, because we
Right.
didn't have one last time, really.
No, we didn't.
So let's go with this segue. Let's trumpet it out there. Next gen consoles. Why
Next-
are you calling them that?
Because like up until like 3 weeks ago, we were still calling Xbox next gen.
Were we? I wasn't.
I mean,
Who was?
people were.
Well, then, I mean, it's always, the next gen is always the next gen.
Yeah.
Once the gen is out, nobody's calling it next gen
It's
anymore.
next gen.
Maybe because so many people still have PS2s. The PS3 was
The
next
thing-
gen.
Hey,
Thing sells
hey,
like
the
crazy.
PS2 was a wonderful game
I know,
system.
and
And they're
we're
going to
not
turn the
talking about
PS3 into the PS2 because they're going to keep selling it during
We're
the
not
PS4.
talking about the PS2. We're not talking about the PS3. We're talking about the PS4. So
And
and
Durango or the Xbox 720 or
Right,
the
which we
Xbox
know nothing
Infinity.
about.
Or the
We know
next
nothing
box.
about.
We know nothing about it.
But what we do know,
Yeah, the next box.
what we do
That's-
know,
yeah.
that would be actually. I wonder if they'll go with that.
I
It
think they're
wouldn't
going
work too well with their Xbox branding, though. It's got to be Xbox something.
right.
I'm thinking Xbox next.
I think it's Xbox Infinity.
You think it's Infinity?
Really?
Yeah, because Windows 8 turned the 8 on the
Yeah,
side.
that's
That's-
right. We were talking about that.
That is true, yeah.
That's- oh,
That would
God.
make a lot of sense with their whole
Do you think
tiny marketing scheme.
now, if they were going to call it Xbox Infinity, do you think that maybe it's an acknowledgement of the end of the traditional console cycle? Because I mean, essentially, last consoles have been here for so long that we're no longer talking about like it was back in the days of the N64,
Right.
the GameCube, the PS2.
Well, I don't think so. I think it's a hint at it because this,
Yeah.
from all reports, this is going to be a very hybrid system.
Right, like the PS4. I mean,
Like
we could
PS4.
talk about. I think we should talk about the PS4
'Cause we actually know-
because we
we
know
have
something
facts.
about it.
We have
So the
facts.
PS4 is an 8-core, essentially an 8-core Jaguar cores, which are
Yes.
AMD's next-gen, not released yet laptop, low-power cores.
An APU.
Well, it's 8 Jaguar cores together with a semi-custom, I think it's GCN2 core, which is so, and it performance-wise, it should be pretty similar to like a current gen 7850 or 79.
I would-
7870, 7950.
Yeah, 7970 is what I was reading.
7970?
7790.
7790.
Wow, sorry.
Yeah, it's similar. It's similar architecture as GCN2, but it's a little pumped up from the 7790. And then the big thing, of course, is that it's got 8 gigs of GDDR5 just hooked right
Which
into
is
that core.
ridiculous.
And that's not just graphics, that's for everything. Because it's
Right.
an APU, it's one chip that does everything, which,
Right. And I think developers only get access to, I want to say 6 of those cores. Like 2 is just maintaining the system.
yeah, well, I've heard various reports that there was like, some people were saying there's separate processors. What would make sense is power states use some of those processors to do background tasks like serving your downloads, because obviously this gen should be very highly digital.
And
They
we'll
know that's what
multitask.
they're doing.
Everything's gonna be focused on multitasking because at any point they want you to be able to stream, share, connect with a friend,
Exactly.
and like immediately bring up their whole thing was speed. The console doesn't even turn off. The console just goes into a really low
Hibernation
power
mode.
sleep
Yeah.
mode. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I should be pretty familiar with anybody that has like a Roku or an Apple TV. Those things don't have power buttons because they're just, I mean, they're like an LED. They take like fractions of a watt. No one's going to be too worried about turning it off.
Yeah.
And what I think gives a lot of power to developers and to content developers to make a really nice, seamless, connected, internet-friendly experience, which the last gen hardware is just not up to. They tried very hard. I mean,
They did.
they're
And-
very connected, but they're dealing with very old hardware at this point. So it was time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, everything was built before like more than half these technologies existed,
Right.
and they tried to shoehorn them in, and it's
Exactly.
amazing how much progress they actually
Yeah, and
did
so they've
have.
got a good basis, at least product-wise. I mean, Sony has their PlayStation Live or whatever.
PSN Plus.
PSN Plus.
Oh.
Okay. See, I don't have a
Yeah, I was
PlayStation.
trying to figure out what
Neither
the
do
heck
I.
it was.
Xbox has Xbox Live, and they now have Xbox Music and all those Windows tied. So, they're
Right.
trying to tie in all those services because that's what Microsoft's about these days. They want everything to be
Yes.
integrated.
Which is cool.
It's kind of cool. It's like an Apple type approach, I guess.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I think makes sense
It makes
for
sense.
consoles.
Yeah. But I think the big thing for me, and I've been saying this for a long time, and because I've been
I know.
telling you for a long
I
time,
know.
but the exciting thing is the PS4 is now on basically off-the-shelf PC hardware. It's no
Essentially.
longer a power PC. It's no longer a cell processor. It's nothing crazy. It's just an x86 64 processor with a current gen graphics chip.
Yep.
And it's an APU, which means if you buy an AMD, like I'm thinking later this year, you buy an AMD APU, you'll probably be able to buy something very similar to what's in the PS4.
Yes.
And it looks like, based on statements by AMD and NVIDIA and various other people in the industry, it looks like that chip is also going to, or something very similar to it, is also going to be in the Xbox Infinity.
Yeah, most
Yeah,
likely. I
that's-
mean,
Well,
NVIDIA has
that's-
said, oh, we let them take the consoles. AMD has said things like, our APU architecture is great for consoles. So they're not just saying PS4, they're hinting very heavily that it's on the
yeah, I mean,
Xbox.
they're already they're powering the Wii U.
Right.
Who cares?
Now, and so
Hey,
what's
certain
exciting,
people do.
they're powering the Wii U's graphics. They're not powering, the Wii U still has a Power PC processor, which just goes to show
That's
you
probably
how
why it's slow.
the
addition to
Nintendo is just in its
self-realizations.
own market. Like, they're not even
They're-
playing the
They
game.
do their own thing. Yeah.
Well,
do
they
their own
are
thing,
playing
they're
the
gonna
game.
be
They're playing
very-
a different game though.
They're playing a entirely different game, and it works for them, but we're not talking about them yet because the Wii U is already out. Nobody cares.
Yeah, but it's still considered a next gen console.
I guess
It is
because it's the
but
next
nobody
generation.
cares. It's not like it's not part of the discussion that we're going to be having here. And what I want to move this towards is PS4, Xbox, Net Infinity, Steambox.
Steambox.
So I'm a PC gamer. Let's get that out of the way. I play games on the PC. You play games on the PC.
I play a game on the PC a lot. I'm a die-hard Star Wars: The Old Republic fan, and I did buy some
How do you
other
like
games
that
to
free-to-play?
purchase. I do not play free-to-play. Free-to-play is for total noobs,
But-
by the way. You
but
can't
that's
use
what-
half of the crap online, but we're not talking about that.
Oh,
so-
okay. So you're doing the premium, whatever. I don't know.
Oh
the
yeah,
details
I'm
of
the
Star
subscription.
Wars.
That's
okay,
right.
Okay.
I can get
But
everything.
actually, I think this is a good point for the next gen consoles because there's a huge segment of the PC gaming market that people on consoles don't even know about. It doesn't even exist, and that's free to play.
Which
As
is
far as I
horrible.
know,
Free-to-play is horrible.
There's no free-to-play model. You're absolutely on console.
Right.
But the thing is, everyone owns a smartphone, and that's where free-to-play.
right? But I'm
really-
saying free to play not just as casuals. I'm saying free to play as like core gaming experiences.
I would say that
Things
there's some fairly core experiences on mobile.
Like?
It was the EA just bought them, Real Racing, which is sort of a Gran Turismo style game, and it's real like Real Racing 1 and 2 were really hardcore
Okay.
games. They have
how is
real
it on
cars.
how is it on the phone?
Actually, really good. It looks it's
Okay.
very good as far as graphics and everything and
Okay,
controls.
so we got a racing game.
And there's a few others. Okay,
I'm
but-
talking about the guy who's playing Call of Duty on his Xbox 360. Doesn't
Right.
know that TF2, for example, is free to play.
Is free to play.
Doesn't know the guy who's playing, I don't know, Gears of War or whatever. Doesn't know that there, for example, there's like, I don't know, it's like 15 million people playing League of Legends right now.
Oh, there's a lot, yeah.
and things. So and then you have Hawken, you have MechWarrior, which I'm playing a lot of right now. These are great free-to-play games.
I have Hawken.
Really Hawken is good. MechWarrior is better.
I have it. I've just never played it.
But these are great. I mean, these are great games. These are in a less internet-connected age when these sorts of monetization schemes hadn't really been fleshed out. These would have been, if they had existed at all, these would have been AAA titles you would have paid $60, $50, $60 for. They're free to play now, and it's huge. Like, I mean, it's a great way to grow a huge community. It's great for a competitive game because there's no barrier to entry. Everybody just gets in. As long as you do it right, you do the monetization right. You have games like Dota 2 is effectively free to play.
Well, I mean, there are elements of free to play coming into the console now.
But will it be free to play? Because the key thing is
that
you
whether
don't
it's
pay money up front.
Up front, right.
The monetization, I get it. People are putting DLC, little tiny whatever. That's not the important part.
That's not there yet. I think
Right.
it will get there.
It will get there on the Steam box, and I feel like that will force people to do it. That will force Sony and Microsoft.
I think
to do
it'll get there later.
Yeah, not right away.
On
It'll
console.
take some time.
It'll definitely happen this generation.
Right, but
It
not
just
at launch.
Not at launch, just because most
it's-
people are still going to be buying a disc.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Because that's what
and-
they're used to. If you're an Xbox 360 fan, that's
Yeah.
that's the experience that you want. Because
Yeah.
you would have stopped playing Xbox 360 a long time ago if you didn't want to buy a disc for $60 and have a great polished experience right from the
Exactly. They're going to be buying a disc, but as we know, they're going to invest heavily in downloading online. They already allow it. They're just going to double down on it.
Right.
And with that, they're going to see that more people are going to download. What other models can we support?
Exactly.
And eventually, it's going to happen. But for the time being, I mean, the cost is the disc, and unfortunately for console gamers, the price of the game will not go down even as we go to a download because people are so ingrained. It's a game of $60.
Yeah. But Steam has done a very good job of, because that was the case in the PC space too, but Steam has done a very good job of removing that sort of price bias from, because essentially it's a quality bias. People see the price, if it's not $59.99, they think, oh, this is a budget game, this is not going to be as good.
Yeah.
But, Valve, for example, they launched Counter-Strike's Global Offensive, which was a pretty highly anticipated game at $15.
Yeah.
Brand new game, $15. It wasn't, and it made sense at $15 because it wasn't like a single player multiplayer standard gaming experience.
Right.
It was a very
And
streamlined.
And it takes someone like Valve to be willing to say, hey, we've made a lot of money, we can make less money with this game. Okay.
Well, and I don't think it's
larger
that.
audience.
I don't think it's that. I think what they said is, the Counter-Strike community is huge. There's a lot of people out there that could buy this game, but it's not necessarily the kind of community that would want to spend $60 a pop on the game. So instead of getting, 1,000 guys to buy it for $60, why not get 10,000 guys to buy it for 15? It makes sense. They're not making less money. They're making more money by making it cheaper.
And I mean, that makes sense.
And that also caters to a lot of people that want to get the used game. I don't know if they did something like that with discs, because you said the disc is the cost. How much does it cost to burn a disc?
Well,
I mean, it's
everybody
not that much.
hates everybody in the market and everybody in the industry hates GameStop, hates used games. Everybody wants to get rid of it.
Because they don't make money off it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's what downloads are doing. But the second part of that is the reason GameStop exists is because there's someone out there that wants the game well after launch for a discounted price.
Yeah.
And that's what Steam does. And they let
And
the
that's what
developer
they're
get
doing.
the profits.
And
Exactly.
as far as consoles go, they have no system implemented to measure success of a game with pre-orders. Right now, their metric is GameStop.
Right, exactly. It's first party sales, not their third.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I feel like both consoles, the new Xbox and the PS4, are going to have some sort of way to buy games digitally from the get-go. I feel like that will definitely be part of their new system.
The PS3 is incorporating that now.
I know, but I'm saying, so as far as I know, the Xbox doesn't have anything.
Not like at launch.
Yeah,
but
not
you
at-
can. And the bad thing about it is like, so Mass Effect 1 is still like $50.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Because that was an awesome
So
game.
I feel like they're going to have
That's
to
fine.
relaunch.
It's an awesome game, but it's like I could
It's
go
not
buy
worth
it new.
$50.
Yeah, it's not worth $50 a game.
So I feel like they're going to have to relaunch those services. the existing services, you know, and really drill it down and get a good interface and work on pricing. And it's going to look a lot like Steam because they've done it first and they've done it well, and they'd be fools to not look at what Steam has done and take that at least as a lesson. And they're going to do it differently because they have different goals in mind. They want to move hardware. They're actually making a profit on the hardware now. They're not going to sell at a cost. So, and they definitely want to keep their brand identities. Sony and Microsoft are going to want to lock people in. They're going to have a lot of exclusives. They're going to, you know, try and build an experience that's very, very characteristic because they're going to want people to think, I use Xbox or I use PS4. They're not going to want people moving.
And they have a list of people who have already their friends invested in.
Right.
I have all my friends at PSN and I don't want to go make all my friends again and this other thing.
Exactly.
Because it's like all my friends are on Xbox.
But then the other thing is that they're going to have to fight doubly hard because Valve is going to be fighting for every single one of their customers.
Yes.
And they're going to be, and so Valve is going to, I'm sure they're going to have to do a lot of crazy things with the Steam box to try and draw people in. Maybe like importing friends lists somehow. I don't know. They're gonna try that. They're gonna try and make it easier.
They're gonna try something, and they have the flexibility.
Yeah, exactly. That's the big thing is because Microsoft and Sony are big companies, and they have these established properties, and they have a lot of people they need to keep happy. A lot of developers, you know, third party, in-house developers. Valve doesn't have that. Valve can kind of just do whatever they want, and they're not really selling. They will be selling hardware. But the bulk, I think, of the Steambox community is going to be third-party hardware.
Right.
So it'll
definitely. I mean, that's the whole point. If it wasn't all third-party hardware, then I think they would consider it a failure.
Well, they wouldn't be in the market because they're just not as big as Sony. You know, they don't have the manufacturing capabilities that Sony has. So they're going to have a flagship product that they're going to sell relatively small number of, and they're going to encourage third-party OEMs, basically the custom PC builders. I'm sure like iBuyPower and CyberPower, whatever. They're all going to have some Steam box. Yeah. So it should be really interesting, and hopefully you'll be able to make your own Steam box and actually get the exact same experience.
Well, that would be the goal. That'd be the dream.
That's kind of what I want. I want to turn my HTPC already runs Steam Big Picture mode, and it's kind of cool. It needs a lot of work.
It could be cooler.
It could be cooler. I want to build something that's a Steam box and be part of the next gen console thing, because I don't buy consoles generally speaking.
And I think that's a good place to end on.
I think it is. Yeah.
So that's it for this week. You can find us online at shopsws.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, follow us on Google+.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Have a good weekend.